Hello, welcome to part 4 of Biology, Paper 1 at Edexcel, higher tier. So let's see the next question, 6A, start a new question. In 2012, 2 scientists were awarded the Nobel Prize for their research on stem cells. They showed that adult cells could be reprogrammed to become cells with the properties of embryonic stem cells. Describe the possible benefits of this research. Okay, so think about what stem cells are. So let's write that down. That will form part of our answer. So stem cells. Okay. So sorry, that's my curly handwriting there. Stem cells can become any cell. Become any cell. Type. Okay, any cell type. Okay, so they can be used to treat conditions which require transplants. Okay, transplants. So there's 2 things here also good. So there's no need for embryonic stem cells. And also there's less chance of a patient rejecting their own cells, because they could take some of the patient's own cells and reprogram them. So sometimes when you get a transplant, that the cells from something else might get rejected. There's always that chance. Okay, so this one there's less chance of that happening. Okay, so we've got mitosis. Figure 11 shows 4 stages of mitosis. And mitosis is normal growth and repair. Okay, mitosis. Meiosis is when the gametes are produced. Mitosis is when the cell clones itself. So let's have a look here. Which of these is the correct order for these stages? Okay, so let's have a quick sip there of water because I talk all day. So let's have a look what's happening here. So we've got the order of the cells. So that's the first one. They all line up in the middle. 1. Okay. Okay. Then they're going to have to clone themselves. So okay, and then they're all in P. So it gives a bit of a clue there, isn't it? S and then P. So it's just cloning itself. Okay, that's all that's happening there. It's just replicating itself. So it's B. The stage of mitosis labeled S in figure 11 is which one? So it's anaphase. So we just need to look up the different stages of mitosis there. Okay, interphase is part of the cell cycle. Describe what happens during interphase. Okay, so it's not the same one we had above there. So DNA is replicated. Okay. The DNA is replicated. Okay, and the production of organelles. You could say they're subcellular structures. So organelles are the same thing. Okay. Figure 12. This is a root, it's a plant. So figure 12 shows the root tip of cells in different stages of mitosis. The image was magnified 400 times. Explain how a magnification of 400 times can be obtained using the lenses on a light microscope. Okay, so you could select a so different ways of doing this. So select an objective lens of 40 times. So this is kind of like yeah, you have to use a microscope to kind of know this. So make sure you know the parts of the microscope. So combined with a 10 times eyepiece, and together 40 times 10 is 400. Okay. Yeah, you could have had other combinations that were 400. So I was sort of thinking about that. You have other combinations. So you can have with the eyepiece equals the lower power. Okay, so yeah, you can have other combinations there to get 400. That's actually quite a generous question. Seems harder than actually is that one. Okay, 7A, evolution. Best bit of biology, I think. Figure 13 shows a pentadactyl. That means it's got 5 fingers. Pentadactyl. Limb of a bat and a cat. Bat, it's got wings. It's got these are bits would normally have wing bits on them, like membrane. That's the word I'm looking for. My cat. Okay, it's quite funny. You may have heard my cat meow earlier in this video. He's gone off to go to sleep somewhere now. So it's quite funny. Got a cat there. So describe the reasons why the anatomy of the pentadactyl limb suggests that bats and cats, like the way it rhymes, evolved from a common ancestor. Okay, so so they've got the same bone structure. So they both have the same structure. So both have the same bone structure. Okay. Structure. So 5 fingers, that's what pentadactyl means. Okay. Okay, so this has evolved. So this has evolved, okay, from the same ancestor with the same bone structure. So yeah, it's unlikely. So another one we could say it's unlikely to evolve twice. Evolved twice, because yeah, if something's in common with 2 animals or plants, it's usually the case that they're the same ancestors. Sometimes we get convergent evolution, but there's always something a bit different about it. It wouldn't be as similar as that. If you look, another way of saying it, you could say they've actually got the same bones. It's not as obvious, but also humans, look at your own hand too, isn't it? That we've got the same bones as both of these, but they've just got long fingers. They've actually got the same bones. Okay, so it's got longer fingers. Lots of animals have the pentadactyl limb. Okay. So genetic analysis also provides evidence for evolution, so it's a bit more involved process. Scientists can sequence genes from different organisms. Describe how this type of genetic analysis provides evidence for evolution. Okay, so what they do is that's a nice easy one. So compare the genes from different organisms. Okay. So organisms, because it could be plants too. So organisms with similar genetics are most likely to be related? This is actually an important thing, actually. When it's done on plants, is that sometimes you have a plant which is used as an ingredient in a type of drug for treating certain illnesses. And what they can actually do is sequence the genes of other plants, because they actually don't. I remember it was using the breast cancer, something called tamoxifen. It's from and the word is from taxus, which is a yew tree. Okay, and actually sequence the genes of the yew tree. They've actually found out different plants that can be actually used to make different drugs for different illnesses. It's really interesting, actually, the applications of that one. Okay, I didn't realise until actually I started looking it up about actually why they're doing this. Okay, about sequencing the genes. So also organisms. It's not just animals, plants. They do that too. Okay. Mendel is very famous. Mendel's research on pea plants showed that genetic traits are inherited, so they're passed down. Which term is used to describe the expression of traits in an organism? So expression, okay, is what it looks like. So we talked about the tall and the short pea plants. So that would be phenotype. Pheno, because the word pheno, just get rid of that accidental bit there. The word pheno, sorry, I'm just rub that out. So it's phenotype. So the word pheno means appearance. Okay, phenomenon, something that happens. Okay, it's from the same root, it's in Latin root, pheno. So what it's expressed as, if it's tall or short, okay, pheno. So Mendel, so you might get a bit of detail here about the pea plants. I remember reading in a book when I was younger about this, still remember it. Mendel crossed pea plants that produce round seeds with pea plants that produce wrinkled seeds. You might have seen some peas that are a bit wrinkly, haven't you? All the offspring produce round seeds. He then crossed these offspring with each other. Some pea plants in the next generation produce round seeds and the others produce wrinkled seeds. Explain how this showed that some inherited traits are not expressed in an organism. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, so the wrinkled is recessive. Okay, let's just write that down first. This is what immediately comes to my mind. Some ways of answering this. So wrinkled seed, so it's wrinkled, is recessive. Okay, recessive. Okay, and the round is dominant. Round is dominant. So what did you do first? So produce round seeds. So cross round seeds with pea plants that produce wrinkled seeds. All the offspring produce round seeds. So the offspring, so the first generation, so the first offspring of those plants, the first generation were heterozygous. So they had one recessive gene and one dominant gene. Okay, so we're heterozygous. The dominant round gene was expressed. So that's what we saw. Okay, dominant round gene was expressed. So what happened after that? So that means that in the next generation, okay, 25% would have wrinkled seeds. So we're going to draw a Punnett square for this. It's easy to draw a diagram. Okay, we're going to get a diagram. Let's just draw. Okay, so about round, and let's have R for round, wrinkled is a small w. So in the first generation, they crossed the Punnett square. Okay, first generation. So let's have a look. So we've got R, W, wrinkled W. So you have R, W, R, W, R, W, R, W. So they would all have that dominant, they would have round that round seeds. And then it says the next one. So next generation. So you simply choose one seed, spread how to show that. Right, so then we've got some. So if we bred those two together, okay, R, W, we've got R, so that one's got round seeds, R, W, R, W, but W, W. So this one would have wrinkled seeds. So 1 out of 4, as we said, 25%, 1 out of 4 would have wrinkled seeds. Okay, so I'm going to finish that part of the video there, and I'm going to finish the paper in the next video. So thank you for listening. I'll see you in part 5.